Democratic Party leaders are growing increasingly worried that Bernie Sanders will actually threaten their electoral prospects come November because Bernie Sanders is something really unique in politics. He's not taking money from the billionaire class, and since his supporters have seen that we actually can have a candidate that isn't corrupt, well, now they're not really inclined to support these corporatist Democrats that they always put forth. So, seeing that now Bernie Sanders and his movement is a growing threat to the Democratic establishment, they decided to hold a closed-door meeting to figure out how to, quote, handle Bernie Sanders and his supporters. So, The Hill explains that Democrats in the room decided the best course would be to let Senate Democratic leader Harry Reid handle the delicate task of talking to Sanders about the increasingly negative tone of supporters of his presidential bid, according to sources familiar with what happened at the meeting. A senior Democratic aide said that thinking reflects an acknowledgement among the senators that Reid is the one member of the caucus who has an actual relationship with him. Now, additionally, the reason why other Democratic senators thought that Harry Reid would be the best person to talk to Sanders is because both have a strong independent streak. Reid is allergic to Washington's social circuit of receptions and dinners that draw many members of Congress. He's never been a creature of D.C., the aide said. I can't remember a single reception or dinner that he's been to. Sanders is also something of a loner who shows little interest in hanging out with lobbyists. How out of touch are they? So because Harry Reid doesn't like to go to these receptions with lobbyists, that somehow makes him anti-establishment or an independent? Okay, let me just clarify in case this is unclear. Harry Reid is very much a part of the Democratic establishment. Comcast is one of his biggest donors. He's taken more than $150,000 from the pharmaceutical industry, who has a vested interest in preventing single-payer healthcare from coming to fruition. Let's not get it twisted. Harry Reid is establishment. He's not an independent. He doesn't have an independent streak in him. He is towing the party line. So Harry Reid actually left this meeting early to call Bernie Sanders, and I don't know what the details were, but I would presume that it was something like, hey, Bernie, buddy, pal, look, we're all getting a little bit worried that your supporters are seeing what a real non-corrupt politician looks like, and you're making us look bad. So, I mean, can you tone it down? I mean, we've tried to vilify your supporters and make them look bad in the media, but they're not stopping. So please, can you just be as corrupt as us, maybe? Or just toe the party line more? Or maybe just drop out, preferably, so that way we can all unite behind Hillary? So now Bernie Sanders did not take kindly to Harry Reid's finger-wagging, and he decided to give him the middle finger, and he released this statement in defiance. It is imperative that the Democratic leadership, both nationally and in the states, understand that the political world is changing and that millions of Americans are outraged at establishment politics and establishment economics. The Democratic Party has a choice. It can open its doors and welcome into the party people who are prepared to fight for real economic and social change, people who are willing to take on Wall Street, corporate greed, and the fossil fuel industry, which is destroying the planet. Or the party can choose to maintain its status quo structure, remain dependent on big money campaign contributions, and be a party with limited participation and limited energy. If the Democratic Party is to be successful in November, it is imperative that all state parties treat our campaign supporters with fairness and the respect that they have earned. Unfortunately, that was not the case at the Nevada convention. At that convention, the Democratic leadership used its power to prevent a fair and transparent process from taking place. So now, the Democratic establishment did not like this response from Bernie Sanders, because how dare he stand up for his supporters and demand that we actually earn the respect for supporting the party, for caucusing with the party, in spite of the fact that the party has betrayed us, has given us the middle finger. So yeah, I think that he's right, and he should demand that we actually get the respect that we've earned. But they didn't like this. So The Hill reports that Reid said he was very surprised by the defiant response and dismissed it as a silly stunt put together by campaign staff and not representative of Sanders' views. Now, additionally, conservative pro-NSA Democrat Dianne Feinstein had this to say: Reid is the Democratic leader of the Senate, and Senator Sanders is a member of the Democratic caucus. He's not a Democrat. He's an independent. Well, he's really a socialist, but he's a member of our caucus, and as such, he should listen. And Joe Manchin said, Bernie's not a Democrat. What are we worried about? Why would Bernie want to play nice? I'm just saying, if a person doesn't even want to conform to be Democratic, it's kind of hard to say, okay, all of a sudden you have to do all these things. So when they say that, he's not really a Democrat, he's not one of us, they don't realize that they're making themselves look bad. Voters like Bernie Sanders. Voters flock to Bernie Sanders because he's not a part of the corrupt Democratic establishment. The reason why Bernie Sanders is not a Democrat, he stated, is because they're too far to the right. They often succumb to the interests of big business and billionaires. So by saying that, you're saying that Bernie Sanders doesn't want to play ball because you're all too corrupt. So inadvertently, you're admitting that you're corrupt. That's why we don't like you, and you don't get it. You can't get it through your thick skulls that we don't give a shit about party labels. I don't care if Bernie Sanders isn't a Democrat. Bernie Sanders can literally form a party with Vermin Supreme, who wants to give everyone a free pony in the country, and I wouldn't give a shit. I don't care about the party. I care about the policies. You see, what's not going to get us fed when we're hungry is party loyalty. What's also not going to raise our wages is party loyalty. If you want us to be loyal, then what you have to do is cultivate that loyalty. I don't care about party loyalty. You're not helping yourself when you make this case. And rather than embracing Bernie Sanders and taking his campaign as an example as what a true Democrat should be, because he's really getting to the roots of the Democratic Party. He's a pro-FDR, pro-Jimmy Carter Democrat. Well, rather than doing that, they're telling us that they don't want our votes. Debbie Do Anything for Hillary has done this. Hillary Clinton has done this herself. Well, you know what? Ask and you shall receive, but be careful what you wish for, because come November, you won't get our votes.